Alright my friends, how you all doing? Welcome back to the channel and welcome to a fresh episode of our City Zoo build, Tropical Wings Zoo. So here we are, we're back in TW for another episode. My friends, we've got a brand new build to be showing you and a lot more stuff to be talking through with regards to the zoo, to the project and how we're going to take this one forward. If you've missed last episode, which was our bongo habitat, it is linked above, my friends. Feel free to go and check that out, give it a good watch, make sure you leave in your comments and let me know what you like, you don't like and all that good stuff. I like to take your feedback on board, as you all know, so be sure to be continuing to get those comments in. But without further ado, let's crack on with today's episode. No hanging about, lots to show you. So here we are, gang. We are in TW at the entrance. I like to start here every time if you're new around here. I give it away in the thumbnail and the title and whatnot, but I just like to start here. I always think this is a really good start point. Today I'm going to be showing off a brand new hab, but first and foremost, before we get into it, we need to go into this one with an open mind because I've run out of time, unfortunately. I just wanted to get the episode out on this particular day because I am working on a few other things where Planet Zoo is concerned, trying to bring my tutorial series back, so I've been working on that as well as this. So yeah, just really wanted to get this out. And to be fair, the stuff that I haven't got done doesn't really impact the build too much. It's just kind of it'll just finish the area off more than anything. But anyway, too much chat, not enough showing you, so let's crack on. So we're going to continue on this way. We're going to go past the bongo and we're going to go to our brand new animal. But there are a few little bits and bobs that I want to show you, bits of work that I've been doing. So this little seated area here, you're going to notice I've managed to get all of the trim on now. I think it really finishes it off nicely. Just that little bit of detail there just breaks up the grey with the creamy colour. I've also put in a little notice board. Do take on board that I am still working on all of my custom notice boards. I did say I was going to do an episode where I speed build and show you them all. I've actually got so many to do now, and I'm actually considering doing that next episode because otherwise I'm just going to forget how many I've got to do. But we've got another little wayfinder here anyway. You're going to see I'm going to put this fence, I'm actually going to put it all the way around the edge here. I've put this piece here just to remind myself that I want to do that, so I'm going to put it all the way around the edge, and I think it will make this little sort of a foresty walk thing feel a bit more, you know, like part of its own jazzy little piece, you know. And then we've got this here, and then I also do want to put a piece of trim on this piece of path here, similar to what I've done with today's current build. Sort of gives away a little bit what I've been up to. I haven't really got the path done. I am sort of working on it. You can see there's little bits that are covered, but I do need to bring this up a little bit because we've got our benches. Again, you're going to see there's a little bit there unfinished. Now, there was a little cut in there. I don't know what happened. Basically, I pressed G so I get the whole screen, basically visual full screen mode. Something behind the scenes was stopping me from moving around. So yeah, apologies for that. But yeah, you're going to see this little bit here is unfinished, gang. But this is where we begin today's episode, like properly. Now, you will remember if you watched last episode that we put the bongo habitat in. I did take some feedback on board. I'm going to be honest with you. Some people were saying that they thought I would go with more trees because it does actually still feel pretty open. They're a shy species and whatnot. Now, I wanted the centre to be open because I wanted to have that vista, that viewpoint of the gorilla habitat that you all really seem to like, by the way, when we were commenting, when you were all leaving your comments in last episode. You love the vista, you love that point. But people were saying that they thought I would add a few more trees. So I have actually added a couple more, added a bush in the middle. I think that breaks it up. I'm actually thinking about adding one a bit closer to the building as well. And then, as you can see, because I've done all of this plant in here, it's cast some shade on the hab, so it feels a little darker, feels a bit more secluded, and hopefully that kind of ticks the boxes that you guys were hoping for when you were leaving your comments last episode. But basically what I've done And this does still need a little bit of work. You're going to see there are some empty spots that I do still need to put some planting and whatnot, but I wanted to crack on with the actual habitat, and this was taking a lot longer than I anticipated. But again, I've just done another little like foresty, wild walk, the same as we did at the beginning of the bongos, and I think it's just a nice way to kind of transition into the next part that we're going to be doing in the zoo. So as you're going to see, it's all built up again. Over here, I've just gone with little insect sort of hotel type things. I think that those were perfect. I didn't want to do any more beehives and whatnot, and especially as it's going to be so close to a little seated area. But as you're going to see, it is quite built up. And I might even put a tree here, and it'll feel really lovely and secluded and dark. You'll see as you go a bit further up, when you get to the end, it goes really lovely and dark. And then you get up here, and this is officially where sort of today's big area starts. So we got this bit to the end, and I decided to put in this little seated area because we were left with a big mound of open space, basically. So what I decided to do, by the way, gang, I let people know on the Discord, but obviously I know not everybody that watches the series and watches the channel is part of the Discord, but I let people know on the Discord that I have actually subbed the dingo out of my animal list, and I've added the Okapi in their place. I did mention I was potentially going to do the hippos round here, and the more I looked at it, the more I didn't like this area for the hippos. Now the hippos are going to go one or two areas based on the comments that you guys were leaving, because I did ask your opinion about the hippos and what I should do with them. Now they're either going to go sort of in here opposite this. They're either going to go in here, or they're going to go over in the water area, and it's basically going to be where I feel like they fit best as and when I get to them, because they become a bit of a problem animal. I'm going to be honest with you, because of the way I want to do their habitat. Obviously we're going for a very realistic build, a very realistic zoo, and so to do the hippos justice, it's going to take some work. So they're my two spots that I'm thinking. And so as I was saying, the dingo are no more. We're not going to be doing those in the zoo, and basically that's off the back of doing some research in the dingoes. I think one UK zoo houses dingoes, and as far as actually like fully actual like a 100% sort of natural fully bred dingoes, they've been spliced with other domestic dogs now, unfortunately, so there aren't many left. There are some in Australian zoos and whatnot, but there's not too many from what I could see in UK zoos, and so I didn't really feel like they were a realistic option to house, and so I decided to sub those out and sub this animal in. And so today I'm going to be showing you my Okapi habitat. Lots of people really like the idea of the Okapi next to the bongo because they're from very similar parts of the world, and I feel like it'll be a nice sort of transition, isn't it, because it's those heavily forested, more tropical African species, and you're going to work past these two into then the Indo-Asian area. I've got to come up with an idea basically to try and transition from this point to the next. At the minute I'm a little bit stuck, and you are going to see there is some open space and some open spots that are not filled in, and when we get to the what's happening next, I'm actually going to ask you a few questions on what you potentially think we should do with it. So what I did here, gang, I said I was going to do this. I've put a staff gate in here. It is really, really tight, this, to get the staff gate to the staff path to work. So what I've done is I've used the 2 meter path trick, and then just turned it into staff path, and it's worked an absolute treat. So they can actually use this. It is all joined up. And then if you look around here, I've finished all this off now. We've got the gates in, we've got all the fence in. We're starting to kind of work on this. The back of this building is going to need some detailing because you can see it from certain angles, and it is just a big plain blob basically when we're looking at it. So I do need to start with all my backlot details. I've kind of started that already. It's one of the reasons why I was running a little bit behind with this build, because I was too busy basically doing bits and bobs that you're probably never going to be showcased until the zoo is made available to you when it's finished on the workshop. But you know, for now, I've just been doing, you know, little bits. So yeah, this actually works and joins up to the back. And then as a result, like I was saying, we were left with a little bit of open space here. And I thought this was a nice way to kind of transition from, you know, our main kind of path to this Okapi trowel, basically. So this is, I'm trying to make this like an experience almost, this Okapi habitat. And I've done it very differently as well. I'm going to explain why it's actually quite small, and you know, some people might not be happy with it, but there is a good explanation. And remember, we're going for realism, and I have to stick with the law of this project as well. It is a city zoo and we've got limited space, but yeah, we've got this nice little open area, a little bit of seating, and then you're going to see it's heavily kind of built up with foliage and forest, and I want it to feel really dense, and I want you to feel really as if you're in and you're one with the animals, basically. So I'm just going to do a little zoom out for you before you actually have a look at the actual hab itself. So this is obviously their hard shelter. We've got hab space here, hab space here. We've got 2 viewing sections, so we've got one here and one here. I've decided to do a couple of covered viewing sections, and again, it comes back to that whole thing where I want you to feel like you're really in the forest and you're really kind of like at one with nature, really engulfed in it. And I feel like the covered areas would be great for that. As you can see, we've got our main path that kind of runs this way, and that's going to run all the way up to kind of Indo-Asia, and then we've got this space that's kind of been left in the middle. Now, I'm probably in this space here, I'm probably just going to plant it. I'm probably going to go really heavy with some trees and some bushes. I just needed to, the reason I haven't planted it yet is I need to get my nice little stone design to go all the way around the edge. You can see it here. Look, I've started it at the ends and I've started it here, but I just need to continue it all the way around, get it all the way around, and then I'll be able to do it. But I was, you know, considering adding maybe some stuff in there, but because of how I want this to feel, I think the best thing to do is just to add some trees, add some bushes and flowers, and really build it up. Nice rocks and logs and fallen logs and things like that, really just build it up and make it look pretty. I've run out of time, and that's why it's not been done, basically, because I wanted to get today's episode out. Would have, you know what I will do for you is this will be finished next episode. I'll bring you back here and show you it, and then I'll do the Okapi trail with you with it finished, because I think it will feel really different to how it feels right now, basically. So let's just walk along the trail, and I'll explain to you kind of how it's going to work. So you're going to walk along here, along the trail. On this board here, I'm gonna say something along the lines, can you see the Okapi through the undergrowth? Because as you can see, it's really lovely vegetation here, but the vegetation's quite like long, obviously, on the inside as well. And then in the distance, you might be able to see an Okapi, but it's all about making sure you're eagle-eyed and having a good look. We carry on walking this way, gang, and then you're going to come to the first of the viewing areas, basically. As you can see, nice little cover. It's really kind of delicate looking, but that's exactly what I wanted, basically. So I think it's really turned out well. Nice little custom roof on it. I'm actually potentially thinking of doing a Let's Build Together and showing you how to build this, because it's actually really easy. It looks complicated, but it's really, really not. Once you get that roof down, the rest of it really comes together nicely. But I think it might be something that you guys might want to learn how to build and might quite like, actually. But yeah, we continue this way, and then as you're going to see, this is the first viewing area for our Okapi. Now, the first thing you're going to notice is that obviously the hard shelter at the back, we've got nice little watered area at the front. You know, we're higher at the back, lower at the front. I've done it very similar to the bongos and a lot of the ungulates and whatever. That's kind of the style we've gone with in this zoo. The big bushes, now the thing with Okapi, when I was looking at a lot of their habitats, a lot of them had very long grasses, and then on the edge they'd have trees and bushes and whatnot. Now the trees were never had protectors on, which suggests that obviously they're not going to destroy the bark or whatever. But what they did do is they did kind of graze on the things like higher bushes and trees and stuff, because obviously they are, you know, got a longer neck and whatever, are quite a tall animal, so are able to do that, but I noticed that a lot of like the bushed areas or flowered areas did have a small fence or a little railing around it just to kind of maybe protect the root system. They could still lean in obviously and pick off a few leaves and that when they're grazing and whatever, but they did have like little fine fences, so that's exactly what I've done. I've decided to do the same. You can see there's one at the back as well around this one. We've got one around here, and then we've got one kind of around this, but the trees, as you can see, they're kind of open. And then I've gone with that grass design again. I kind of wanted to continue that on. I think it made sense if we continue it on from the bongo and the gorilla hab, and then you continue it round here. Everything kind of looks the same. It all really feels like it's one big part of like this tropical African area that includes primates of Africa, the bongos and the Okapi. And then yeah, it's just really heavily kind of like planted. I'll dive in once we've done the trowel and I'll show you it in a bit more detail. And then the big thing you're probably going to notice is there's a fence up the middle of the Okapi hab. Now, this is off the back of doing the reading, and for anyone that knows about Okapi, they're a very solitary animal. They only come together when it's time to breed, basically. The male will do his business, he sods off, and then the mum brings up the calf. And that's essentially how it works. And so in the zoos, they do tend to keep them apart and then just kind of bring them together at certain parts of the year, but most zoos will keep them separate. And so I've decided to do exactly that. I've designed the habitat in a way that our staff members can access both sides, so to make sure they're clean and both sides are fed, and it all comes down to that habitat, and that's how the hard shelter, and that's how it works basically. And then we've got these fences in the middle, and then if I ever want to, where, you know, with the game, I ever kind of want to breed the Okapi so we get a baby Okapi and whatnot, I can do so. I can just literally just the gate is a separate group, so I can just click on the gate and open the gate, and then they can walk through because the space that I've left there is big enough, and then it can become one big hab. Now, what I will say is this side is a lot larger than the other side, a lot larger. Now, I've designed it in this way, and you're looking at this thinking it's not that big. I've designed it in this way on purpose. Basically, this is a city zoo, and all city zoos are very stretched for space, and so they try to make the most of every kind of like square foot of space, but there will come times when there are limitations or they just don't have enough room, so they just have to do the bare minimum, and that is what I've done with this habitat. I've wanted to basically just design something where it was realistic in the way that we're very limited on space. We've had to try to make the most of a very small area, but at the same time the animals' welfare isn't put at risk, and they're still happy and can still kind of like live in the zoo the best way possible. And that's why I've done it massively intentionally this way. So yeah, we're kind of separating the animals like that. Also, you're going to notice that the fences and stuff are very visible as well. I've done that on purpose. A lot of the stuff I was looking at, they just went with very heavy, sturdy wooden fences for the Okapi. Some zoos did have some kind of wire mesh fences as well. Some did a combination of both, but from a lot of the stuff I was looking at, they just kind of went with kind of heavier kind of wooden fences, and so that's what I've decided to do with this habitat. So we'll continue walking along up our Okapi trail, and again you're going to come to another little like built up kind of like foresty area, and this is just another look in to that habitat, and as you can see, we can see the Okapi there, just a little appearing over the bush. We continue this way and we come to our second and final viewing area, and it's the viewing area basically into the other part of the hab, and this is the second part of the habitat basically. So you're going to see, as I've already said, it's a lot smaller. We've got a nice little kind of like pooled area at the front. I kind of wanted to make both look very similar. Obviously I knew the space over here was going to be a bit more limited, but I wanted to make both look similar, yeah, so what I've done is the female is in this side and the male is in the other side, because the female is slightly smaller than the male. If the female was to ever calf, then she would get the big side and the male would come over here on his own. Essentially, that's kind of how I see it. So yeah, you're going to see it is a lot smaller. It does go round the corner, you just can't see that. I did it on purpose because I was trying to disguise this as much as possible. Unfortunately, it's a bit garish, it's a bit ugly, but because of, again, we're going for that realism, and we kind of like, this is one of those habs where the zoo's kind of reached its limits and it's like, oh my god, we're trying to cram this in. There was stuff they couldn't avoid, and unfortunately this view is one of them. In the background there is going to be some stuff added that I'm going to talk to you about, because I've got plans for what I'm going to do in the backstage, and I'm going to add some stuff, and I might potentially add, you know, another bush or two at the back just to add a bit more life. You'll see the other side, that it's a lot more closed in, but it's because we had space behind there to add some trees that weren't inside the habitat, whereas unfortunately this side, because of the way I've designed the backstage and again the zoo's limitations, we haven't been able to do that. So instead we're going to have to add some other stuff and get creative basically to try and disguise what's going on behind. But in all honesty, I quite like the sight lines, because in zoos they can't disguise everything. There are going to be some habs where you can see gates in, and you can see access points and things like that. It's just the way it is, gang. You go to any zoo, there will be some habs where you can see this sort of thing. It's great to see the skyscrapers over the top of the building as well. Lots of details and whatnot on the back, and you know you've got the plants there from the edge of the chimpanzee yard, and you know, over here, I can't remember what that, I think that might even be the Babarasu house, or the Babarusa. I still get that name wrong, but I think that's their house there. So yeah, it's just really interesting, isn't it, the viewpoints you get. But yeah, you'll see it does go around the corner. They do actually have all this space over here as well. You just can't see it from the viewing area basically. And then you will come this way and you come out basically of the Okapi Trail, and then if you were to go up here, you go towards Indo-Asia, and then that way you go back basically the way you came. This is all that open space I was talking about, and we're going to get into that in a moment. So yeah, that's kind of like the way the trail is going to work. And so if you use your imagination, obviously this is all going to be really heavily planted up. It's going to feel lovely, isn't it? It's going to feel like a really cool kind of experience. And I decided to just go with that that mulchy kind of pathway that we've done with our woodland walks already. I think it works perfectly, and especially when you kind of put the edge in, you know, the little stone pieces on there as well, you don't get all that that weird kind of like edge. So it'll be disguised lovely, and we'll have some plants that kind of like, you know, just kind of sort of go over the top and onto the path a little bit and stuff like that. I think it will look really, really nice. So yeah, that's basically that. So that's one side. So as you can see, the size difference, you know, because this fence comes a lot further back, but because of the way we've done our access point for the cars and whatnot, we were a bit more limited on space, because this is like how our back lot areas and our backstage areas works. So next thing, before I show you the habs, is I will show you the hard shelter basically, gang. Now I still need to add guttering on this, but it's the only thing that isn't done. The rest of it is complete. I just basically I forgot about guttering. I just totally forgot. It just slipped my mind. But yeah, it's just those little details that I need to do. But yeah, if we just dive down here, so you will see again, I've done like a service yard, very similar to how I've done on some of the other animals. And the reason I did it, it was the only way I could kind of disguise what was going on at the back, so we can use these green bits of kind of like mesh and whatnot. So yeah, we've done like an access yard, and then what you're going to see is I've just done a gate here, and then we've got this point where vehicles can come in, back the trailer up. So what we would do is we would just make a makeshift kind of like, once they're in here, we would make like a makeshift fence. I was going to place loads of the barriers and whatnot in here, and that'd be basically what they'd do. They'd make a makeshift fence there so the animal couldn't get out. We'd back this in, and that's how the animal would be transported basically out of the zoo if we ever needed to. So at the front of the building, it just kind of looks like a normal kind of just like slanted roof, doesn't it? But when you go round to the back of the building, you'll see I put this really cool like little windowed section in, and I really feel like it gives this building a bit more of a unique look. You know, I didn't want it to look exactly the same as the Bongo house. I wanted it to look a bit different, and because it's two animals, we had the luxury of it being a bit smaller, so then we could maximise on the very little space that we had, you know, for the Okapi. But this is obviously keeper access door. So we will go in this way, and then you will see it's pretty tight in here, this room. I intend on adding, you know, like a load of boxes and storage items and whatnot in here. I've got to do this with all of our hard shelters. I haven't done a lot of the details inside. But then you come through here, gang, and this is kind of what you're met with. So you've got a keeper access door here and a keeper access door here. So this access door goes to this side of the hard shelter, and then that access door goes to this side. Now I've left this access door open so that our keeper can actually access the hab. Without leaving it open, they can't get in here. So it's just one of those things. So I've had to leave that door open. It might look a bit silly, but that's just the way the game works, unfortunately. When I did close it, they do actually walk into here, but when they go to walk out, they end up on the roof. It's this weird glitch happens, so I've had to leave the door open. And so yeah, we've gone pretty basic in here. Just lights, you know, through the girders on the roof. But again, it's just a nice amount of space for the animals. We've also got access gates in here, and again, it's that reason is because of this transportation out. We could, you know, lock one animal in here, put those gates up, and then if the other animal's in this side, we can just open these up and away you go. So yeah, it was just another way of just adding some points. And the nice thing is they can actually kind of see each other through there. Although they're a solitary animal, they do come across each other. They're pretty friendly to one another. So I just thought it was a nice little touch. And this is based off of not the whole style, but the inside is based off a hard shelter that actually exists in real life in a Dutch zoo, which I, off the top of my head, can't remember, unfortunately. But the way they did all of this as well, just to give those animals a bit of privacy. I nearly did it in the style of Chester Zoo's internal one, which has these heavy green walls and this quite ugly kind of forest design on it. But because we have gone a bit more natural, I kind of decided to tone it down. As you can see, windows at the top as well, just flooding the building with some natural light, which was really, really needed. And then we've gone with the similar doors that we've done on the Bongo, and we've done on numerous habits, and we've done it on the Gemsbok as well, because we want Tropical Wing Zoo to kind of have its own style. We want it to look a certain way, don't we? So that's why I've done that as well. But yeah, I really, really like it. It's a really unique hab, like a really unique hard shelter in this hab. And so I really, really like it. I had to use all really small plaster pieces to build all this up, but I think it really, really come out nice. I feel like I've really kind of pulled it off, basically. I feel like I've done a really good job on this one. So yeah, now we've looked at that, I'll take you into the actual habs, basically. So from here you can see that gradient on the slope, basically, of the terrain. It works its way down into the pool. Again, I've done it really similar to the way I did the Bongos, where it's a bit more of a natural water pool. There's no like edging on there. I've just gone a bit more natural. It can be drained. The bottom of it is kind of like concrete with a drainage system and whatnot, so it can be drained if it needs to be, but yeah, just a bit more kind of natural in this one, and it's the same in the other side. But as you can see, I've done like nice heavy trees, create those big heavy shaded areas all around the edge, nice bushes and whatnot, and then we've just gone with the heavy kind of grasses. And again, because we built all this up, we didn't want our animals to be able to get up here near the viewing sections, so we just built it up with nice rocks, and we've done that fake kind of wall system that we've been doing throughout the zoo, and then nice logs and just more bushes and bits and bobs like that, all around the edge of the thing. I've also worked their scratch post into the tree again, and I just think it works really, really well. And if you can imagine, when all that planting on the other side of there is here, you won't be able to see any of that. You really won't be able to see much of the backdrop either. And if we just head over to the other side, you'll see that it's very, very similar over here. I've gone obviously a bit, I've held it back a little bit because obviously it is a smaller smaller habitat, but still all the same rules applied. And once we start adding all the trees on the outside of the fence, it will start to really fill it all in a bit more as well. But yeah, I really like it. I feel like I've absolutely nailed this one. It's something a bit different, and I kind of put some rules in place for myself to try and go that extra mile with a bit more realism in making smaller habs, limited space and that sort of thing. But I feel like we've really pulled it off, gang. But what you need to do is let me know in the comment section below what you make of it. Do you like it? Let me know, and feel free to send me any critique as well for those that don't like it. But now we need to get into the next part of today's video. So gang, we need to now talk about what's going to happen next. Now, I'm not going to go into loads and loads of detail and then what's happening next. A couple of episodes ago, I told you what we're going to be doing basically for the next probably couple of months of this series. Big stuff in the water area, big stuff in Adventure Africa. We still need to finish off Indo-Africa with the tapir and the Komodo dragons. So there's lots of stuff in place, there's lots of plans in place, and there's lots of stuff I know that I want to do. What I want to talk about in today's what's happening next is I actually want to get your feedback on a couple of things, because I'm struggling with the transition from Indo-Africa to the area, Indo-Asia to the area that we are currently working on, basically. So I've already told you that I am going to be filling all of this in, but we have been left with a big hunk of space here. Now, I know some people might sit there and say, you really could have made this bigger because of all this space, but we've got to think about a transition. I didn't want to bring this hab all the way up to here and then be left with a really small amount of space and the transition not make sense. This is very much, this area here is very much a part of the zoo. It's very much an area on its own. I want it to have a unique look. I want it to have, a certain species of animal. And so I don't want other animals that are not from that part of the world to encroach. I know we're not really following those strict rules in that, certain biomes and certain parts of the world are always going to stick together, but I want to theme certain areas. I want to keep certain areas together. For instance, Adventure Africa follows those rules. So I need to have a transition. Now, what I'm thinking, and you can let me know if you like it or not, I'm going to be putting a kind of eatery here, right about here. It's going to back up onto the hill that the Komodo dragon hab is going to sit on top of, basically. And there's going to be a big kind of seated area out the front of it. Now I'm considering adding an overflow seated area over this side as well, so that we've got plenty of seating, because I anticipate that this is going to have maybe 4 different kind of eateries inside it, all little open hutches. It's not going to be a restaurant, it's just going to be like a big long building with all these openings on. You go up and get your food, and then you can come and sit in these little seated areas. But I'd imagine it's going to be, around about here with a seated area at the front. Might even do a little bit of seating here at the bottom of the hill, but then I was thinking about having a little bit more seating here and have a little bit of an overflow, but it still leaves us with a lot of room. Now this room back here, to be fair, can be backstage, backlot area. I could probably add a bit of planting in here, and then there's always buildings like this that we can add in, because we always need storage for the animals. But there's going to be a piece here. Now there probably will be a bit of planting, but I just don't know what to add. I feel like it's going to need something. Will it need an aviary? Could it do with oh god, the word's evading me, but almost like a fake hab, one that doesn't have an animal in it, but we could have, maybe a small mammal or something like that might live in it. But yeah, potentially just something like that maybe. Or do you think we should put a fountain or a statue, or I don't know. I really don't know what to put in this area, but we need to use it as a transition, because I really don't want these two areas to kind of encroach on each other when they're supposed to be different, essentially. At the end of the day, I'm just a little confused. As far as the backstage and the backlot area is concerned, I'm actually going to be putting maybe 1 or 2 hay sheds in here, and that will help take away this a little bit. And then I'm thinking about putting something in here as well, just because I think it will kind of dampen that big grey wall that you can see from inside the Okapi hab. I am actually going to be running a path down here as well for our staff. As you can see, I've already put the gate in, so we'll join that up, so there'll be loads of ways that our staff can get to this backstage area. There's going to be an access point there, and there, and they can also come from over here and cut through the yard in the middle and come through there. So there's 4 access points, and it will make our staff moving around really quick and really easy. Obviously this bit here does bring that backlot area to an end. This is all dead end now. No vehicles can really go kind of any further, but you will remember this path, we do have the road over here, and we can probably carry that road over, have another access gate, and then we'll have a road kind of like that can kind of continues around the edge of the zoo. Obviously we've still got this one over here, and we could probably do similar over there. There's always going to be ways to kind of continue the roads on using access gates and stuff like that. But that's kind of my plan for that area. I want to get this all finished off, and I would like to get this filled in if possible. But I suppose next episode, the thing that I really want to get started on, and I don't want to put it off anymore, I want to get started on our croc/amphibian house, the place that's going to house all our crocs, all our frogs, our salamander. It's going to have our terrapins in it. I really want to get started on it, and it's going here. I've decided this is exactly where it's going. I think the entrance will be here, and the exit's going to be up here. It's actually going to come up and around. I think it's going to be quite a large building, to be honest with you. I kind of want to have a low level where you're basically going to have that nose-to-nose kind of interaction with all the animals. You're probably going to be able to see the animals diving from that area, and then there's going to be a section above where you're going to be able to look over into a lot of the habitats. That's kind of the idea I'm going with. So that's going to be probably next episode. That's what I really want to get started on. But before I do that, I want to finish this area up, and I want to finish all the detailing that I've started on all the backlot areas. So potentially next episode will either be the croc hab, or it will be me showing off all the stuff I've done plus all of the notice boards, and potentially some speed builds of me doing the notice boards. I'm really not sure what it'll be, but it'll be either or. Or it could be a combination of both and just be an extra long episode. But essentially, I think that's it, gang. I don't really feel like there's too much more I need to show you, but I really hope you've enjoyed it, and now you can enjoy some cinematics. So there you have it, my friends. We're done and dusted for another episode of Tropical Wings Zoo, and that is our brand new Okapi habitat. Let me know what you make of my lore that I've put in place for this hab. Let me know if you like the limitations that I set myself, and if you like the fact that the zoo was kind of at its limits in this area. You know, it's nice to just change things up and challenge yourself sometimes where Planet Zoo is concerned. I know it's a hard enough game for a lot of us anyway, but to make it even harder and a bit more challenging is sometimes a bit fun, and I did have a lot of fun making this hab. I got it done over a couple of evenings as well. They really raced along, but I hope you're enjoying the cinematics, my friends, and it's now time to sign out. So if you are new around here, please consider hitting that subscribe button. It's the best way to support the channel. Drop a like on the video. That's the best way to not only support this episode of Tropical Wings, but the best way to support the series as well, because hopefully it helps more people find my little corner of the internet. I've mentioned the Discord a couple of times, my friends. You will find the link to that in the description box below. Feel free to click, join, and get involved with me and the rest of my fantastic community. But until the next one, stay safe, stay humble, and I will see you real soon.